CNN continues to go back to the torch that burns them. In 2016, it was Donald Trump. In 2024, it is Vivek Ramaswamy. Here he is discussing racial relations and Ayanna Pressley statements with CNN.
You took issue with comments from Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. She reportedly said, quote, "We don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice."
I really want to hone in on the word reportedly. If it was Donald Trump, they would have said stated without the additional context. No. She didn't reportedly state it. She definitely stated it. And here is proof.
Because we don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice. We don't need black faces that don't want to be a black voice. We don't need Muslims that don't want to be a Muslim voice. We don't need queers that don't want to be a queer voice. And if you're worried about being marginalized and stereotyped, please don't even show up.
Notice how she goes on and she gets applauded for the racial division. Let's continue with Vivek.
About that, you said, "These are the words of the modern grand wizards of the modern KKK." You know, I'm sure, the KKK was responsible for more than a century's worth of horrific lynchings, rapes, murders of black people. How in any way are the views you're talking about comparable to the views and atrocities committed by the KKK?
What I said is the Grand Wizards of the KKK would be proud of what they would hear her say, because there's nothing more racist than saying that your skin color predicts something about the content of your viewpoints or your
You didn't just say they
ideas.
would be proud. You said these are the words of the modern Grand Wizards of the modern KKK.
It is the same spirit. You're right about that, Dana. I think it is the same spirit to say that I can look at you and based on just your skin color, that I know something about the content of your character, that I know something about the content of the viewpoints you're allowed to express. For Ayanna Pressley to tell me that because of my skin color, I can't express my views, that is wrong. It is divisive. It is driving hate in this country. This is dividing our country to a breaking point.
Anybody who's over 30 years old will definitely agree, in all likelihood, that today's America is more racially divided and greater amount of strife than when we were kids. I definitely didn't experience much of it. And it is, unfortunately, game theoretically correct when the left, when somebody like Ayanna Pressley or Elizabeth Warren,
race matters and we need to say so,
states exactly what you must believe and how you must use your voice. If I can accurately predict your beliefs based solely on your skin color, the game theoretically correct play to make is to treat you and prejudge you based on this frame, because it's going to be accurate, because it's not allowed for fear of ostracization or cancellation from your group to behave in a different manner. So I can judge you based solely on immutable characteristics, which is not what America's about. But yes, there is so much more racial strife than there ever was, and it is tragic. And it is exactly CNN that is defending these people rather than attacking them for being anti-American in terms of what the true ethos of our nation is, to be colorblind, like Martin Luther King's dream.
That is a debate that is based on nonviolent discussion. That you just said you're using rhetoric, which she said she's using rhetoric.
Peaceful. Yeah, because 2020 riots that burned down businesses like the KKK did, that killed people like the KKK did, and had the judicial system bent in their favor, like white people did in the South when they committed horrendous acts, unspeakable acts against those who were of a different racial and skin color. Yes, because I'm definitely telling you that those New York lawyers who firebombed police cars got 1 year in prison for that action. And people that entered and bumbled into the Capitol are still being held or were held for years in jail when they did not commit any violence. Yes, that is a two-tiered justice system. Wouldn't you agree?
That's one thing. And another thing is to say that she represents and she is a modern version of a KKK, which as you know, was dedicated to the subjugation and violence against Black people. How on earth is she a modern grand wizard
let's be intellectually
of that
honest.
kind of organization?
Let's be intellectually honest and get to the heart of what this debate ought to be about. There is a worldview that says that the remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination, that if you're Black or brown, you have to have a particular point of view. That's from Ibrim Kendi. That's from Ayanna Pressley, the people I quoted in my speech yesterday.
But can
There's
you
a
have
different
an
view
intellectually
that I have,
honest
which says that regardless of who you are,
when you accuse
have to
her
be able
of
to have your
being
own
a
opinion.
grand wizard
Let's
of
have
the
the debate.
KKK?
That's the second time that she said this. And that is definitely putting words into his mouth. That is what is considered a straw man. You're presenting a different argument than he made. He did not use those words. She's inputting her own interpretation versus what was accurately stated. And that's the second time. So that's why I call it out.
Can you have that intellectually honest discussion with that kind of rhetoric?
Yes, I can, Dana, because the point I'm highlighting is that even the people who, in good spirit, we all agree that the KKK was an awful organization that is a toxic stain in our national history. So given that we can start from that point of agreement, now that allows us to say, well, who actually sounds more like that organization today? The people who are calling for more racial discrimination on the basis of skin color. So yes, I think that is an intellectually useful starting point for a provocative discussion that we need to have in this country.
The whole point is the KKK wasn't just about rhetoric.
We have to speak openly.
They lynched people, they murdered people, they raped people, they burned their homes.
And that was wrong.
Simply
that was
because
obviously wrong.
Wrong. Okay, so again,
that is obviously a wrong thing.
If you want to have an intellectual discussion, do you think that maybe comparing her to the Grand Wizard and the notion of what she said to being a modern leader of the KKK was maybe a step too far, or you stand by what you said?
I stand by what I said to provoke an open and honest discussion in this country.
He is so spot on, and the corporate media is just going to defend the Democrats just with the word reportedly, as I pointed out at the very beginning. She absolutely said it. She did not reportedly say it. You're allowing doubt in the viewer's mind, because if this was a Republican, you know that they would have said he adamantly stated. This is the differential in terms of the reporting, and just it might not even be conscious, although it very well might be, but they soften everything on the Democratic side. They try to defend them, and then if a Republican comes out with something like Vivek just did, comparing them to the KKK, then they will attack him. Well, that dog bit back. Keep inviting him on CNN, because it makes great fodder for videos and enjoyment as you get outclassed by somebody far, far smarter than thee.